What's going on, fellow apes? This one's going to be I think it's going to be pretty quick, I don't know. But I get asked a lot about meditation in a lot of different contexts. And I just kind of want to cover all the bases with my personal meditation experiences and how I do it, all that good stuff. I usually meditate at night before I go to sleep. Some people do it in the morning. I like to sleep in the morning until I have to get up. And also I find that it doesn't... Well, I guess coming into this conversation, how you meditate and what happens while you meditate is very dependent on why you're meditating and what your intentions to meditate are. A lot of people that I know who maybe haven't done psychedelics but meditate for mindfulness and clear mind and all that, and I guess for that application it's good. Or I've heard people talk about how it's good in the morning because, clear mind's a good start to the day. I guess I can get that, but that's not how I do it. And I think that's because my intentions for meditation are, well, I don't have intentions besides seeing what I can experience within my own selfness, within me. And over time, I've been meditating since before I did psychedelics. I've always kind of just been interested in consciousness, and you know the drill. So I'd say I've been, quote, seriously meditating for around 4 or 5 years. And over that time, I've come to learn that for me, it takes time for me to get to certain points within myself, I guess, if that makes any sense. Like, I think I've talked about it before. There's kind of levels of surrender, levels of depth within yourself, and I don't know if I assume that there are people who are always existing at really high states of consciousness, and I assume that there are people who it's easier for them to access these states. But for me, I notice that it takes time, and some of my most helpful, I guess, meditations have been the longer ones where I just really go with it, go inside of me, like just explore my own what's in there. So with the intention just to explore, I find that nighttime before I go to sleep, laying on my back in my bed is my preferred setting for most, if not all, types of meditation. So what are these states that people talk about and that you can experience when you're meditating? Again, I think the subjective nature of meditation, and also the depth of the human psyche and the mind and being in itself. I obviously cannot tell you what's going to happen to you when you meditate. I have friends who meditate all the time, or want to meditate all the time, but get nothing out of it. And I think that is a result of trying to meditate. Like, it's talking about meditation is weird, and that's kind of why I haven't up until now I haven't really made a video about it, because at its core, I mean, there's really not a lot I can say about it, because it is so subjective, and because it is so paradoxical, and because it is so deep and different for everybody. I mean, it's the act of surrendering control and of surrendering any desire to experience a preferred outcome. And so you can't try to meditate. You can't set out to have an enlightening experience, or to even have any type of experience while meditating, because what happens is completely out of your control, unless you're trying to control it, and then nothing will happen, because your mind is sitting there in lock, in a loop, in I don't know. But for me personally, what I experience when I meditate is a multitude of different states of being, in which some are, I guess, what you would categorize as astral projection, or that's what people call it. But some states are basically a disconnection from the physical body, and a reemergence, a dissolution into different things. A lot of the time, what happens to me when I'm meditating for a longer period of time, and I'm surrendering and just really enjoying myself, feeling life go through me, and just being it. There is this very almost physical sensation of dissolving into the vastness of existing. And I mean, again, I don't really know what I can say about it besides it's wordless, beautiful, profound. It's fun. And also, on very rare occasions, I would say this has happened to me 10 times in 4 years of meditating, maybe on average every other day, periods of meditating every day, sometimes slacking off, whatever, not wanting to. But on a rare occasion, there is this thing that happens that's completely different from anything else, and it too involves this dissolution of worldly self, this dissolving of, I guess, ego, and this projection of your experience, your experiencer, your consciousness, your observer, this projection of yourself into another world. I mean, I guess I should say myself. I don't know if anyone else has had similar experiences, but well, actually I do. Some of you guys do. But what happens to me is I go somewhere else. Like there's another stable world whose aspects and dimensions are different and or more than those aspects and dimensions that are present here in 3D material human reality. And this is I guess kind of what I'm after, because it feels like true exploration, like nobody's been here because well, maybe people have been there in those places, that exact same place, but I mean, it can't be described, so it can't be talked about, so it can't be referenced. I mean, if you went and I went, we would describe it completely differently, because we would experience it completely differently, and this would cause discrepancy in, I mean, it's like we just wouldn't, how do you identify landmarks out there, I guess, is kind of what I'm saying. But I'm getting off my point. Let me just, for instance, describe to you the most recent time this has happened to me. This was a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I think a couple weeks ago. It might have been like a few nights after I did DMT most recently. But laying in my bed, it's maybe 40 minutes to an hour into the meditation. I can't remember. I'm either listening to like binaural beats or shamanic drumming or just nothing. And there was this very, very physical sensation of being pulled out of my body, like upwards, being sucked, being guided, pushed, birthed upwards out of myself. And this happens to me, and sometimes I do get scared or say, I don't want to deal with all this tonight. I'm burst, throw my eyelids open and come back and stop the meditation there. But this time specifically, I says to myself, let's do it, let's go in. I have nothing to lose. We're just laying in bed. And this very stable reality comes into fruition before me, and I was in like this hallway, and the walls are this, I mean, it's the same thing as every other time I go to this other place. I don't know if it's the same other place as I go when I'm on DMT and when I'm on mushrooms, or I don't know if it's a different place, but because it's so alien to this reality, it feels like the same place just because it's so different. Like, oh, that's other than this, and maybe I'm clumping it together in my mind like that. But it really genuinely feels like there's just another place, and it's, I guess I can say that the aspects of that place are similar and congruent between experience. So, I mean, the walls are just this intricate, otherworldly architecture, and there is like, I don't know. I mean, I really don't like, I honestly don't like talking about it, because I feel crazy saying all this stuff, but I can only just relay how I experience myself, and that's all I'm doing. With that being said, in this hallway with intricate alien architecture, and off in the distance down the hallway is like a pyramid, and this is also another theme that I find in this other place. There are pyramids, sometimes a succession of cubes getting smaller from the base going up, or traditional, like what we would think of like the Egyptian pyramids, just flat pyramid shapes. And there are also this last time there was also like an entity which looked kind of like a pharaoh, and it does it does feel very ancient and very Egyptian, very lost civilization, very oddly familiar, like epigenetic information, or I obviously have no fucking clue what is going on. Like, you know, what really, and is this a projection of my imagination? Is this the product of being a radio receiver of consciousness and having the ability to tune the fucking channel? Is this a glitch? Am I crazy? You know, I obviously don't know, and I really don't think anyone does. I mean, this is why, first of all, I'm so interested, and also why I have those feelings of true exploration, because it feels like a frontier. I mean, it's unexplored territory, and I'm just going to go off on this tangent. I feel like, I mean, this is the kind of the next human frontier. The next mission of humanity is to explore and to map out these inner worlds, however that happens, be it in virtual reality, in technological advancements leading to a greater ability to produce art, or whatever. I think that's what's next on the agenda for the monkeys, is to really effectively bridge the gap between what goes on inside the mind of, you know, I guess the average Joe who wanted to wander within himself and see what's going on, bridging that gap between that reality and this one. So yeah, I mean, sometimes also when I'm meditating, not very often, I would say very rarely actually, I go to this other place, and I've detailed it before, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it completely changes the paradigm, because it just brings up so many questions that can't be answered by, I mean, anyone to my satisfaction. We don't know what's going on, and nobody does. Now, all of that being said, this is all I'm talking about right now is sober meditation, or meditation under the influence of weed. And I think it's imperative and elementary that any substance will alter the way any psychoactive substance will alter meditation, just because, you know, by definition it will. Weed, for me personally, has the tendency to open me up more, decrease that time between beginning meditation, closing my eyes, and either experiencing a oneness experience, dissolution of ego, other world type experience, deep imagination type experience. That time is greatly decreased while under the influence of weed. Also, a lot more vivid, a lot more stable than sober meditation. With that being said, all these things I have experienced while sober, even before, acid. Before acid, like BA. Yeah, I was going to talk about meditation during psychedelic experiences, and also I wanted to touch on sleep states and in between sleep states, like sleep paralysis, lucid dreaming, because I have my fair share of experiences in that type of experience, or that type of dealio too. But I think this video is getting kind of long, but I do want to touch on that in the future. So yeah, I mean, as always, let me know what you guys think. hit any points I've been missing, any questions, any thoughts, any personal experiences, anybody who wants to one-up me, feel free. Go ahead. Yeah. Again, I think I'm gonna just say this every video. Thank you guys so much for your support. We're like past 1,000 subs. I think last I checked 1,050. Mind-blowing, mind-boggling. I feel like I don't know. I feel very grateful that I have the opportunity to be able to talk about all this kind of stuff and have people respond. I mean, I'm unworthy. I don't deserve it. But anyways, thanks you guys. And keep fucking rocking. Don't stop.